What happens if a situation arises that you were unprepared for? A situation such as a blizzard, a tornado, or being locked down due to a virus. Put yourself in any possible situation that could arise. Now ask yourself, what would you do? Where would you go? What do you need? Are you ready? Because what if tomorrow? Welcome to the What If Tomorrow podcast. I'm Philip.
And I'm Mark.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the new year. It's the first show of the year. We're excited to kick it on and see what we dig into. We thought we would start out. I'm having trouble getting on Facebook for some reason. I was wanting to monitor the live over there, and I'm not going to worry about it.
Hey, Chris.
But yeah, hey, Chris. Yeah, I mean, tonight is a. I don't know how fun it's going to be. It may get a little political. And it is an election year we're rolling into. Tonight is the first caucus of the year up in Iowa. Hey, Jess, how are you doing?
Hey, sister.
We just want to, we figure we would kick off the new year with the tried and true.
What in the wide world is going on here?
So we just want to kind of touch base. It's been a bit since we've been on. The last show for last year we missed. I was out because I was sick, and we kind of talked about it last show with Jess and Pam on the Fringe. And yeah, I think RSV or something ran through work there. I mean, everybody come down with it, and they kicked everybody in the butt. And
it's still going around town here.
Yeah. I mean, it was only a few days. It really was. It didn't last long, but man, it sucked. Especially when we're working long hours and all that.
Well, I'm still, having the after effects of it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Heck, my wife had something, I didn't get it. I mean, it was long before I got the RSV or whatever it was. And she had a cough for like a month and a half. I mean, just couldn't kick it. Finally, she's gotten over it, but it's been pretty nasty. To top that off now, go ahead.
Well, with the weather we're having right now, I'm sure everybody who hasn't been sick is going to get sick.
Yeah, right now in southeastern Kansas, it's a balmy 6 degrees. I think I woke up this morning, it was -3. A little bit of snow on the ground. It snowed a little bit earlier today, not too bad. I mean, not as much snow as I want, but I've got plenty of cold. Like I told you, backstage, I've been thawing out water lines for the last couple of days because my dogs will try to go down in the basement. Well, I mean, obviously it's warmer out of the wind, but they've got nice beds on my porch, and they decide to go down in the basement. Okay, fair enough. I don't want them to freeze, but they won't come inside. Then I think if I did let them come inside, my old dog outside and my inside dog, my German Shepherd inside, they don't like each other, so I don't need a dog fight in the house. But
no, that would be bad.
And he's been inside. Sam is the outside dog. He's been inside a couple of times, and he's just extremely uncomfortable. He just he'll sit right next to the door. But I mean, you make him come in and you open the door, he's out. He doesn't waste any time. He don't like being inside. So we've got him a nice big fluffy bed on the porch, and Bobby, the other dog outside, they'll just cuddle up on it and get through the night. But hell, they'll be out running all night. In this nasty weather, it doesn't matter. They'll be out barking at coyotes. I mean, they're working dogs. They have a job out here, and they do it well. Keeping the coyotes off the place, and wouldn't call them livestock guardian dogs, but they take care of the place. They watch it really closely. That, and we live out in the middle of nowhere, and the people, if somebody shows up, well, they're there. They don't stray
best
to
alarm best doorbell money can buy.
Yep, they're good dogs, and But no, man, I mean, that's the biggest part of the weather right now. I mean, everybody's feeling it around the nation. Stupid cold down south. I mean, and you name it. There's frost warnings and winter storm
There's
warnings.
been a few fatalities.
Yeah, unfortunately. Big thing I've seen the last couple of days is house fires.
Yeah. I mean,
You know,
the hydrants are
everybody,
froze up. You can't pump water.
yep. Everybody's, trying to stay warm, whether it's an accident or whatever. I mean, obviously, well, I wouldn't say you're not going to, but chances are you're not going to set your house on fire intentionally, and it's just take that time to make sure if you're using space heaters and stuff like that, that you have crap out of the way.
No
Especially,
extension cords.
yeah, no extension cords, and unfortunately, I've seen this yesterday alone, like 3 house fires over the weekend down in Coffeyville. And I mean, I feel for the people. Thankfully, nobody's gotten hurt that I know of, so that's a positive in that, and that whole silver lining behind every cloud or whatever. Well, let's see. Anyway, let's kick this off. We've kind of touched on the weather. Make sure you have your your 3-day kits, your food supply ready to go, just in case you run out of power. 'Cause
If you got to travel, have your car kit ready. Have blankets,
absolutely
ponchos, extra coat, whatever. Water.
There's hundreds of thousands of people. I think I heard up in Oregon. Hey Pam, that are out of power. I can't imagine. I mean, we have gas heat here, but I can't imagine people that are strictly electric. Now, think about this. I mean, here I go. First one of the year. The government's trying to do away with all this gas, wanting everybody to go to electric.
Right.
When you're out of power.
Hey, guess what? With my gas furnace, if I have a little generator like that only has one outlet on it, I can run my gas furnace all day long on 2 gallons of gas.
Yeah. It's a good idea to have one.
I can't run any other kind of heat with my little generator, but with that little generator, I can plug my furnace right into it and run it all day long and be nice and toasty.
Yep. Something good to think about, guys, especially this time of year and this type of weather. Have something on hand. If you have to confine yourself to like an interior room, block it off, get you a tent, set it up inside, like ours is like the dining room. It'd be the closest to the interior room, and that's where our main heater is. So it's obviously the warmest room in the house, but if you had to do it, we could block off all of the rooms, camp out in the dining room, move crap around.
Build a flower pot heater.
Yep. It's definitely something to think about, everybody, especially in this nasty cold. And I'm sure this is still early winter. We're not even a month into winter yet. So
yeah, next month is going to be the worst. February is always the worst.
So something to seriously think about is have your preps ready. Something that you can use, like the free-dried food would be perfect. Even if it's not hot, you could still put water in it and rehydrate it and eat it cold if you had to. I mean, it may not be the best thing in the world, but it's calories. It'll help you keep going. Non-perishables, all that good stuff. I mean, especially if you're storing it at home.
Right.
Make sure if you're out of power, make sure you're not opening and closing your refrigerator or your freezers. And right now, you don't have to necessarily worry about your chest freezer or whatever. Like mine's on my porch. I don't necessarily have to worry about it in 6 degrees.
Probably warmer in your freezer than it is outside.
Probably, yeah, I've seen that. You've seen the meme going around. It's warmer inside my refrigerator than it is outside.
That's true. That's true.
But right now it's just stupid cold. Don't go anywhere if you don't have to. Make sure you're starting your vehicles. That's another good thing. If you're at home, go out and start them. Let them run for a little bit. Like my battery was dead this morning. I went out and tried to start it and it wouldn't crank. So I went and tried to start it and my battery was dead. I had to jump it and I let it run for about 2 hours while I was unthawing water lines.
That reminds me, I need to do that tonight before I go to bed.
Yeah. So make sure. What's up, Sylvian? How you doing? Uh, yeah. So make sure you have what you need. Extra blankets, in case your heat goes out. Bottled water, some kind of stored water in case your lines freeze up and you have no way to thaw them out. Like I said, yesterday I had one split line and I had to replace. Luckily and thankfully, I had all my fittings, all of my line, all that. I mean, it was a copper line, old copper line plumbing, and it split, and I could see where it split just from it freezing the night before because we thought we had it on drip, and it wasn't on drip. And luckily, I had everything I needed. It took me longer to thaw it out with a propane torch to get everything to drain out and unthaw my water so I could have water just in my kitchen. Um, so have things on hand. I mean, if you have no way of thawing your water lines out, have things on hand like bottled water. Again, your some kind of food, something that if you had to,
Yep.
you could soak it, in water and just eat it. I mean, you can do it with rice. It takes a long time with rice. Ramen noodles. I mean, they'll soak all that stuff up. I mean, just simple little things to think about to sustain you until this is over. I mean, this is going to last pretty much the rest of the week. I know it's supposed to get above freezing, I think, here in a couple of days, but it's not going to get really far above freezing.
No, it's going to be in the 30s at
Yeah.
the highest.
So it's going to thaw slowly. It's not going to be miraculous.
Leave your cabinet doors open tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Leave them open. Let that warm air get in there. We'll see if this one works. We got somebody popped up. Yeah, okay. Man, my computer's all jacked up tonight.
It got too cold.
Hey. Yeah, I think so. Hey, that's my wife. Hey, babe. Yeah, so just keep things in mind like that. Something really easy. Have on hand and beat the rush to the grocery stores. Like when all this crap's coming down the line, you see it, people see it coming a week away. If you can, go out right there and get what you need. Don't wait until the day before it's supposed to hit because it's going to be a madhouse. It's going to be stupid.
Pick up a
Avoid
case
going
of
out.
water. Yeah.
Yeah. Avoid going out if you have to. I mean, we haven't went anywhere since Saturday. I mean, it was cold Saturday, but it wasn't snowy and icy and all that. So if you don't have to go, don't go. Stay home. So real simple, real easy tips to think about. I mean, because it sucks. What happens, if the roads are nasty and you get slid off in the ditch and it's 6 degrees outside, 5 degrees outside. You only have so much gas in your car.
Yeah. Fill your tank if you get a chance.
Absolutely. Pam, good idea. I've seen that too going around. So you can put tea lights in a muffin pan for a makeshift stove to heat water or soup with too. Absolutely. Great idea. I like that. We may need to do a how-to with that and see how long it works and do a video for
Yeah.
YouTube on that.
I've got a bunch of those storm candles from Dollar Tree, the tall votive candles. They'll go like 24 hours. And you'd be surprised at the amount of heat they'll put out into a room.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely drip your faucets, my wife says. Painter's tape around the edges of windows and bubble wrap on your windows does wonders. Absolutely. And doesn't it stick if you got like soapy water? Can't you just put it on the windows with soapy water?
I think so.
Yeah,
It makes it a bitch to clean if it gets stuck too good.
Yeah. Saran wrap if it comes down to it, if you need to. I mean, that'll work if you have it. Let's see. All right. So for the first news article, man, I'm all screwed up here. What the heck's going on? I want to throw this one out there. Everybody's kind of, Just Plain Waterworks, yeah. everybody's going on. I don't know if everybody's kind of paid attention to what's going on with the Boeing issues that are having with the planes and all that. They're finding loose bolts. There was a panel departed off of an aircraft in flight and had to do an emergency landing off of an Alaska Air. FAA is investigating. I heard this today and I decided to look it up. You guys have heard us talk a lot about DEI, the diversity, equity, inclusion, all that.
Yeah.
Okay. So this year, and there's more to come on it, but the FAA, their diversity push, they're pushing to focus on hiring. This is the headline off of New York Post. Okay. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities.
Do you really want to put those people in charge of your safety?
Right, in aviation safety.
I don't even like the people I've got in charge of my aviation safety.
Exactly. I mean, for those of you who don't know, Mark, that's Mark and I's world. I mean, that's our wheelhouse. We work in aviation. I've got 20 plus years experience as a mechanic. Mark, you're coming up, 5 here anyway. I don't know if you've had anything before.
Yeah, about 5. A lot of these guys in the FAA, and all the ones I like, by the way, which there's actually more that I like than I don't, all of them have 10, 20, 30 years in aviation before joining the FAA. And I think that is just perfect. Why would you hire people with mental problems to be in charge of your safety? Not anything against people with mental problems, but it just seems counterintuitive if you ask me.
Right. Jess, no thanks. Yes. So anyway, this article goes on. They're actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, other mental and physical conditions under a diversity and inclusion hiring initiative spelled out on the agency's website. Targeted disabilities are those disabilities that the federal government, as a matter of policy, has identified for special emphasis in recruiting and hiring. The FAA's website states they include hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism.
Okay. I got no problem with dwarfism. I got no problem with being paraplegic or what have you.
Right.
I've got no problem with missing limbs. The only problem I have is people with diminished capacity
right
being in charge. Now, one would argue that our government is run by people of diminished capacity. And I guarantee you it is not the FAA who is behind this push. It is the administration.
Yep, absolutely.
Of course not, Pam.
No, I know it. Where does dwarfism come into this? As a disability?
That's not a disability. Most of those people are just as able as I am or more.
Right. I mean, aside from being naturally funny, because they play into it,
Yeah, a lot of them do play into it.
And I'm not knocking them by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not. So I wonder what they think about being put on this disability list.
I don't think it's a disability. I mean, they do have problems,
right?
A lot of problems with bones and stuff like that. So yeah, right. there is some disability that creeps up on them a lot faster than it does. Their bones and stuff age faster than most people's, if I am remembering correctly.
I think you're right, or their bones or joints or something like that.
Yeah, but yeah, that's fine. It's the diminished mental capacity thing that kind of freaks me out.
Yeah, I mean, with all the issues we're having, I mean, right now especially in the last several years, I mean, and I'm not going to go into detail, but we're having some issues with some of our aircraft, but we've caught but I'm not going to go into detail, and that's about it. Um, with all these other manufacturers, especially Boeing,
Boeing is a big
over the
company.
last several years, it's been rough, especially the 737 MAX. It's been
I-
extremely rough for them.
I don't want anybody examining that who is not on the top of their game. People I
No,
know get
absolutely
on
not.
those airplanes.
Well, I mean, think about what we go through during an FAA audit, right?
Right.
I mean, every 2 years we get audited by the FAA. Every quarter we get a basically walkthrough from the FAA. You know, they're willing. They can go anywhere they want. They can ask anybody anything they want. All they're doing is making sure we're following the procedures that we told them we would follow. These are
Right.
our drawings. These are our operations. These are our I don't know. I just slipped from my head now. But these are our processes. All they're doing is ensuring we are following what we said we would do.
And these guys do an excellent job of that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They do an excellent job. I do not in any way want to diminish that, which is why I think that this ruling by the FAA is probably not very good.
Yeah. And like you said, it's not the FAA.
It's not. It's the
It's the
administration.
administration.
And I can almost guarantee you that the agency in question will not put those people in any kind of position where they could affect things unless they're forced to.
That's where I'm on the fence with, man. I think they're going to force them into some of these positions just for diversity's sake.
I'm afraid you might be right. I don't know.
You know, I mean, and I hope not. I mean, I've been a firm believer for a long time. It doesn't matter to me, aside from the whole mental aspect. All these others that you said,
Yeah, I
right,
got no problem
that
with
they
any of them.
stated, I've got no issue with them. Somebody, but yeah, limited capacity.
Yeah, yeah. And
That's
see,
why
here's the deal.
Yes.
You guys know where I stand. The FAA is one of the few government organizations that I think actually needs to exist. I mean, most of them I don't feel like they do, but this one I see the need for it, and I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm trying to figure out who said this because for some reason my Facebook isn't updating. Apparently the Twilight Zone episode with Captain Kirk in the airplane is true. Yep, you got the gremlin on the wing.
Yep.
Oh, Ken. Hey, Ken, how are you doing? Safety is most important. And our administration should realize that fact. Thinking and common sense is apparently no longer important. Absolutely, Ken, you're right.
I see that. Yes.
Common sense is out the window. I don't think that's just aviation. I think that's about everywhere.
Everywhere you
look
turn.
into it, yeah, there's no common sense anymore.
Well, I mean, have you seen the state of education recently?
Fair point.
I mean, I've worked for schools, and from the time I started till the time I left, I saw things going downhill in that relatively short amount of time. So I can't imagine what it's like now, 5-6 years later.
Yeah, it's sad to think that it's going there, and I think we talked about this backstage. I think this is actually a good segue to talk about it a little bit. I think we're starting to see another economy form. We've kind of touched on it in the past before, and I think we ought to dive in and do another show on it this year. Because
Absolutely.
I'm starting to see it roll faster. This alternate economy that's going on, that's really standing up right now. Alternate entertainment, alternate news. There's all sorts of alternates from this whole mainstream BS that's going on. We're part of it in our own little insignificant way.
Yeah. Yeah.
In all honesty, I mean, we're speaking out somewhat. We try to remain more neutral on the show. I mean, there's no hiding the fact that people know where we stand.
No, they do.
But we try to maintain that center line and be objective. That reminds me, I'm going to get on a tangent here for a second, but it'll come back around. So this weekend, we're going to Bartlesville, I think, to get our new oven. And I'll say 9-year-old because he'll be 9 in a week, but he made the comment, do you know where that we cut down something like 3 billion trees a year? That's okay. I said, how many are planted? How many grow naturally? My wife and I are having a discussion with him. We're not telling him he's wrong.
Right.
We saw it kind of as a teaching moment. I said, think about things like that. Ask those questions because you're hearing one side of the story. I said, to truly know the argument, you need to know both sides. I said, you need to think about things like that. You need to question everything. Don't take it for face value. Question everything. Ask those questions. Ask the hard questions. Have the courage to ask the hard questions. I said, that is how you critically think. Get information from both sides and then make your decision on where you stand. And my wife and I both just kind of used it as a learning moment because that's not taught anymore. Critically thinking isn't taught. If you talking about education, it's not taught anymore. It's okay. This is everything. This is the agenda. We're going to push everybody to this agenda.
Right. Well, I mean, and let's throw out an answer for the young man. 1.6 billion trees are planted in North America, mostly by forestry companies.
That's what I told him. And I said, most forestry, companies replant. And my wife did look it up. And I said, that doesn't count the people in their backyards. This we looked it up and it was like a UN estimate because we wanted to verify. It was like a UN estimate. So I'm like, well, there's your problem right there. It's coming from the UN.
Right.
And I mean, he's going to be a conspiracy theorist before
you're going to warp the poor child. Yeah.
12, but I want him to understand it's okay to ask those questions, to drive to make your opinion or, to make where you stand at. Yeah, absolutely correct. Teaching you to stop being lemons. Think, question, think more, decide, and just absolutely, Ken. Absolutely. That I love.
Absolutely. You're correct. That's a good one.
I love that.
That should be on a shirt.
So yeah, I mean, it's up to us to teach our children to critically think. The schools aren't doing it.
No, they sure don't.
The schools haven't done it in decades.
No, the Department of Education is one of those government agencies that has done more harm than good.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I would love to see it just shut down.
Let the states take care of it.
Now, circling back around to this alternate economy thing that we're just talking about. We started watching, I told you about it behind stage. Daily Wire produces it. Daily Wire is a right-wing leaning news organization, and I find them very informative. If you're familiar with Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, some of those people are on this network. I find it informative because they're honest. I guess that's debatable, one way or another. But I'm telling you what I feel. But they're producing, and it's another network. It's another channel. I don't know what you'd call it anymore, but it's called Bent Key, right? And it's children's entertainment. that is absolutely, there's no agenda behind it. We've watched a couple shows. The kids have burned it up. There's one show that we really enjoyed. We burnt it through the last couple of days. It's called Rune, and it's a cartoon, but it's so entertaining. They're only little, like 22, 23-minute episodes, but it is so entertaining. And there is not one bit of any kind of agenda being pushed. It's just strictly entertainment. And it's an amazing story. There's another show on there is for kids. They talk about like history and things like that. One of the episodes Caleb watched was about the phone when it was invented, Alexander Graham Bell, how much, like all the way up to now, with the smartphones and all that. It was great. It's like a 15, 20-minute episode. It was great. Super informative. There's another episode. I heard him watching because they've done nothing but watch it all weekend because it's been nasty and they've been wanting to go outside, but I'm like, no, it's too cold to go outside. You guys find something to do. And it is so informative. They were talking about George Washington and our nation's history. There is no agenda being pushed from anything that I've seen on there. They have kids shows. They've got, you name it, it's on there. I would highly recommend it. It's like $90 a year, so it's less than.
That's not bad.
No, I mean, and you pay more than that for Netflix.
Well, and this is kind of a parallel economy, if you will. Let's take my niece and nephew, for instance. They've been homeschooled. My niece graduated high school through homeschool. She's a very bright young lady. My nephew he's 16 years old. He is going to have an associate's degree before he graduates high school.
That's awesome. So
my
wife said
it can be done. I mean,
absolutely it can, and that's awesome. And we've seen, I think, since the pandemic, a rise in homeschooling.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great thing. If somebody can do it, if we could do it, we would.
Oh, absolutely.
But we can't. I mean, and that's standard for most people. My wife said that they have Tuttle Twins too. Actually, that's Angel Studios. They have an app too. It's kind of the same thing. It's like $20 a month. It's more of it's not real preachy. They're the ones that produced Chosen. What was the movie? We went and watched it. Had Jim Caviezel in it. Oh, what the heck is it? It's about the sex trade and all that stuff that was over the summer that everybody was railing on. What the heck is the name of that movie? What the heck?
I just went blank. I know what you're talking about.
The Sound of Freedom. Yeah, The Sound of Freedom. They produced that. There's several others in the works that look really good. That Homestead that I shared the trailer for a while back, that is coming on.
I think I saw a trailer for a new movie they're putting out that looks thought-provoking.
They've got another one that we were just checking out trailers on it. It's called Afterlife. It talks about near-death experiences and stuff like that. It all sounds, it looks really good. A lot of stuff looks really good. We just turned into it, and they've got Dry Bar Comedy on there. A lot of really clean comedians, really entertaining. Some of it's free, some of it you have to pay for. But they have Tuttle Twins on there, and if you're not familiar with Tuttle Twins, it's actually started out as books. You can find them on YouTube as well. We've watched a few of them, and they're informative. They talk about how the Federal Reserve works. They talk about things in history. They talk about the true. They talk about the way things are supposed to work. As a constitutional republic. Ken said he saw the Afterlife movie. It's an quite interesting documentary. Yeah, I want to watch it. I need to sit down and watch it.
It's on my list.
Yeah, but Angel Studios has that, so I think it'd be a fun watch. Really, like I said, interesting. I've been looking into it. I've been watching a lot of Afterlife or near-death experiences, and recently. But I know we've kind of gotten way off track, but I think it's pertinent But I think we need to do just a strict show on this alternate economy that's coming along.
Yeah, put your money where your mouth is.
Exactly.
And that's the highest form of democracy is voting with your pocketbook.
That's what we got to do, people.
If you don't like something, don't pay for it.
Right. That's why we're talking about going to Patriot Mobile is the name of it. And it's a phone company. They use all the existing towers, and they piggyback off of them. We're going to switch to that because they support causes that we support instead of the big three, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, all that. Kent said apparently more movies are on the way to the theater by Angel. I've seen that. There's some really good, fun movies that look really good.
Well, and they're making money hand over fist because people are tired of Hollywood trying to shove their woke agenda down your throat.
Yep. And again, I don't know. I think this is part of the spiritual warfare that we've talked about. I really believe that's happening. People are, but you're absolutely right. People are tired of this whole BS agenda, and they're looking for alternatives, and the alternatives are standing up. And I think it's amazing. I mean, I don't really watch I subscribe to the Daily Wire. I don't watch it all that much because I support where they stand. So I'm voting with my dollars. The Blaze, I listen to it more than I watch it, but there's some good programming on the Blaze too, but it's more news oriented.
Yeah.
I support them because I support where they are in that space. I don't support the agenda that is trying to be crammed down our throat. So there's options out there, and we'll get more into that later. I think, we'll cover that more in depth when we do that show. What else do you have for news, Mark? What do you got, man?
Well, I've got several headlines pulled up, and I'm just going to hit them real quick and see where the cookies crumble. Dr. Drew warns that studies are showing the increase of pot use is driving an increase in psychotic episodes, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder, as well as the well-known permanent genetic damage that is passed down for eternity. So I'll just leave that one where it is. If you want to do that, I don't have a problem with it. Just don't make me pay for it.
Yeah,
when
that's
something
where I'm
happens.
at. That's your decision. You want to blitz yourself? Go for it. I don't care.
Yep. Let's see. At the risk of getting shut down, Fauci's ex-boss now says COVID-19 lab leak theory was credible despite previous claims that it was a distraction. All right. Well, we knew that. In more fun news, Dolph Lundgren is saying nothing but good things. He's 66. He's saying nothing but good things about his 27-year-old wife.
Yeah,
I've seen a picture of his 27-year-old wife. I wouldn't say anything bad either.
Well, but we were talking backstage about this, and I thought he was like dying of cancer or something. I don't know if anybody in the comments knows anything about it. I haven't followed him for years. I mean, he's kind of been more of a B-list, action star, but he's done some good movies. I've thought, I mean, obviously Rocky IV.
I liked his Punisher portrayal.
Yeah, he did good in Punisher. And in the 80s, he did, Masters of the Universe, when they tried to make a movie about He-Man, and it sucked. It was bad.
Yeah. It was, but it was fun bad.
Yeah.
It was fun bad, so that's fine.
But then he did that, was it Universal Soldier with Van Damme?
Yes, Universal Soldier is one of the best series of movies. I now have to rewatch the whole series of movies now.
Yeah, I thought that was a great movie.
Yeah, and it really makes you think because it's the kind of thing that governments would actually pull if they haven't already.
That wouldn't surprise me. Uh,
Okay, here's a big one for us to continue talking about. IMF warns AI will impact 60% of U.S. jobs and increase inequality worldwide. So, more AI causing troubles. The study determined that AI will have the most immediate impact on larger economies with highly skilled workers whose positions are at the greatest threat for replacement. It found roughly half the exposed jobs in developed nations would likely be complemented by AI because it would enhance their roles and make them more efficient. The remaining half exposed to AI are under threat of falling in lower demand or even being eliminated in some instances. This is from Fox News. So
I can absolutely see it. My wife today ran across an article saying they're the first fully automated McDonald's is going to be coming online in Denver, I think. No
right.
employees. It's just strictly robotic, I guess. Don't know a
Well,
lot
yeah,
about it. I
I
haven't
mean,
looked a lot into it, but we know it's coming.
and that was caused by, government policy
Mhm.
raising the minimum wage. Fast food jobs were never meant to be a permanent career.
Right.
So if you're wanting to make it a permanent career, then these people want $15 an hour minimum wage. Well, guess what? Now that you get it, it's no longer a living wage because everybody's had to raise their prices and you're back in the same bucket you were in when you started.
Yep. Absolutely. That's simple economics.
And then McDonald's makes robots to replace you
Right.
because you've now made it economically feasible for them to do so.
Yeah.
So, moving on.
Ken said AI. I said, I wonder if Atlantis was destroyed by reaching where we are going and what is happening to society now. That's a good question. That's a really good question, Ken.
It could be. I don't think Atlantis was probably as advanced electronically as we are right now. I'm thinking they were more of a Bronze Age civilization that was just wiped out by a natural cataclysm, and then they're just being remembered as such a advanced civilization because most everybody else was still in the Stone Age while they were in the Bronze Age. But if Atlantis was technological, I guess there is the theory that the civilization, there's been 7 major collapses of civilization. It could have been. I mean,
Yep.
what would be left? We don't know. There wouldn't be much left of our civilization after a couple
Nope.
hundred years. It would all rust and rot away.
Then like here, you had the glaciers and all that, and yeah. Wage increases wage increases economically create inflation every time. Yes, sir. And it doesn't matter what they're telling you about inflation dropping or rising, it's still at a high. I mean, it may drop 3%, but if the inflation is already 12, 13%,
that doesn't make
it's
much
still
difference.
stupid high. And the sad thing is, even if they do get this inflation under control, which I don't see it happening with this economic process or whatever the hell they're using, the prices aren't going to come down.
No, they're never going to come down. At least not, meaningfully.
No.
On that note, my next headline is about credit card delinquencies surge as Americans battle high inflation and interest rates. That was the perfect segue.
Perfect. Good job, Ken.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ken.
Real quick, Ken said he kind of agrees about Atlantis, but I think they may have reached a point where they destroyed themselves. It wouldn't surprise me.
We may have to have another Atlantis show.
Yeah.
That was one of our very first shows back in the day.
Yeah, that was.
If you're brave and want to hear us being really bad,
Hey, go
go
for it.
into our catalog on Spreaker.
I mean, 3.5 years later, we're not much better.
We're not much better, but
We're more comfortable behind the mic, if anything.
we are more comfortable.
Hey,
And
no
I'm
worries, Ken.
funnier looking.
Ken said he's sorry for jumping back and forth. He said you're welcome for the segue. No big
Yeah,
deal.
we're gonna put you on retainer for that, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen my nickname? I'm all over the place. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Have you seen mine? I can't remember crap. Luckily, I usually remember 2 crap. So
Well, that's a good thing.
I'm
So
getting old. My memory's slipping.
so you were talking about inflation and all that.
Yeah. Growing number of Americans are falling behind on their monthly credit card payments as they continue to battle high inflation and interest rates, according to new data published by the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia. All stages of credit card delinquency, 30, 60, and 90 days past due, rose during the third quarter 2023, surpassing pre-pandemic levels for the first time. Delinquency rates are now approaching the highest level since 2012, the findings indicate. This is according to Fox Business, actually.
Well, my first thought, 2012. Who was in office in 2012? I'll just leave
I
it there.
wonder.
I'm not. We don't have to have any names. I mean,
No.
but the same policies.
The same policies cause the same problems.
Yep.
Just like that.
And now that we're talking about that, I'll slide over here because this is just like bam, bam, bam. This is Off the Blaze by Carol Roth. She's an economist. Really informative lady. But the headline Off the Blaze is 5 big issues that could hit your pocketbook and portfolio in 2024. We're barely 2 weeks into the new year and already a flurry of activity from new state and federal regulations to heightened tensions around the globe stands to impact the economy and your finances both in the short and long term. Here are some things to watch as we move through this year from today's first quarter vantage point. Big rules with bigger implications. I don't know if you're familiar. Yeah, this is about the gig economy. There have been several rules put into effect or announced for 2024, and your voice and advocacy will be needed to overturn them by the harm they will cause. First, the Department of Labor imposed a rule that threatens to eliminate tens of millions of gig worker and independent contractor positions and could upend small businesses and entire economy. This is based on the horrible AB5 law from California, the incubator of all bad ideas. This whole gig economy thing, if you're not if you don't know what that is like your Uber drivers, Lyft, independent contractors. I mean, we deal a lot with independent contractors. This law is going to try to force whatever company they work for to actually put them on the payroll. So basically, this is pandering to unions and things like that. Next is the Corporate Transparencies Act Beneficial Ownership Information Rule, which is a mass data collection program targeting small businesses. Are you getting where this is going? Additionally, the Securities and Exchange Commission is considering whether to approve a natural asset companies for listing in the New York Stock Exchange, which threatens all our natural resources. All right. This one talks to, remember carbon offsets and all that crap, 10, 15 years ago? This is that on steroids. It's where they're going to sell your airspace above your property to these companies as carbon offset. They will own the airspace above and around your property.
I'm sorry. I own the airspace over my property.
Right. But they're going to try to sell it on the stock exchange and all that. So it's something made up to line somebody's pockets is what it comes down to.
Money laundering.
Absolutely. So think about it. Do the research into it. I've heard some about it. I know what it is. I don't know enough to really sit down and focus on it. Also, the SEC finally approved a number of spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds, which will undoubtedly shift the cryptocurrency landscape, but may also bring central bank digital currency issues back into the spotlight. We've been talking about this for what? Oh, shit, almost 2 years, Mark?
Almost 2
CBDCs?
years, man. It's bad news.
All right. The consumer and the economy's hard or soft landing on the back of bonds, banks, and debt downgrades causing trouble last year. Much terrain is left to navigate, and all of the aforementioned issues are still in play. We have seen growth on paper in GDP at the expense of consumer balance sheets and with big government deficits. Did you know we just rolled over 24 trillion in debt? But there would need to be a real shift in productivity to expect the level of growth to continue this year. Will
What was
government
our debt
spending-
in 2008 again?
I think it's came up like 6 trillion in the last 3, almost 4 years.
Yeah, I think it was 8 trillion in 2008.
Yeah, there's estimates. There's estimates. If he gets back into office by the end of his term, we'll be like 40 some trillion in debt.
That's
says
a good
we'll
way to
gov-
collapse a country.
Yep.
It's been
Will
done
government
before.
spending- Yep. Will government spending help keep the GDP in positive territory, or will we see a recession expected to be mild if it happens in 2024? And that's what I'm seeing on this trend. A lot of these economists are saying we are headed for at least a recession. As with last year, we may find that the economy is quite different looking at it in pieces, depending on factors such as industry and consumer wealth levels. And the threat of inflation remains very real. It says, regardless, the Fed will have its work cut out for it as large government fiscal deficits remain an issue for Treasury market supply and demand. Nobody's buying our Treasury bonds other than the Fed. The Fed may have to intervene to avoid chaos. All right, here we go. Here's the election. That was only the first one that can hit your pocketbook. Okay. Let's see where we at. I just lost myself here. Well, no. Yeah. No, that was the second one. I'm sorry. The election. See, BOI is extremely screwed up and makes no sense. A few bad guys always create more ridiculous rules for the good guys. There's no definitive and explained rules. Wow, what a mess. Yes, sir. Absolutely. That's what it's about. It's keeping us confused so we can't catch on. That's what it is. See, the election. So we're already seeing all kinds of shenanigans, including several states trying to keep former President Trump off the ballot. Okay, lots of infighting among GOP ranks. Talk all over whether Joe Biden will make it to the November election, and Congress that, despite a leadership change, doesn't seem intent on making material fiscal progress before the election. Elections often bring with them market volatility, so be prepared for that. Also, don't be surprised if we see a change in tone or policy in key areas, such as shift in Federal Reserve policy to support the stock market before any election. The Fed will insist it isn't acting politically, but you be the judge of that. I can't say it. I couldn't have said it better myself. Let's see. I'm not going to get into that. That's going to get a little too political there about them trying to kick Trump off the ballot.
Yeah.
I
am not really excited about the ballot anyway. It shapes up this year anyway.
Right. Even though you may not be, I'm not either. Even though you may not be very excited, make a good, educated decision.
Oh, absolutely.
Support the candidate that is closest to your viewpoint.
Pick the lesser of all the evils.
I mean, that's what it's been ever since I've started voting.
Yes, but it's getting harder and harder.
Yep. And like we've said, this election is a lose-lose situation. No matter what side wins, the other side is going to be up in arms. There's going to be claims of vote stealing or stolen election. It's already coming out. And I'll leave more into that.
It's already turned into a shit show.
Yeah, I'll leave more into that in
January.
the next article. No lemming vote. Yes, sir. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. No lemming votes. Let's see. The BRICS and G7. All right. On the global economic front, The BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and other nations will continue to look at trade in their own currency, potentially with a gold option for settlement, as has been the case with China lately. One item that might accelerate this is the push from various well-connected people, including former Treasury Secretary and Obama advisor Larry Summers, for the G7 to explore if it can legally seize $300 billion in frozen Russian assets and use that money to fund the war effort in Ukraine. Because the people are getting tired of it. People are getting tired of them spending our money on a war that we don't want to be involved in. We shouldn't be involved in. That's my opinion. A lot of people think otherwise, but
And my opinion is that whole war is money laundering.
Absolutely. Why would you support one of the most corrupt nations in the world?
People in our government are taking kickbacks and becoming rich off the suffering of another nation.
How many billions of dollars now have they lost track of? Don't know where it went?
Yeah. They have no idea where it went. Well, I know where it went. It went in somebody's back pocket.
Absolutely it did. Let's see. Okay, fund the war effort in Ukraine. Yes, this is as insane as it sounds, and we know the freezing of Russia's assets led to all kinds of repercussions for the United States, as well in an acceleration in the de-dollarization and non-dollar trade exploration. G7 leaders will discuss the move in their meeting in February. The peace dividend. The peace dividend is an economic boost derived from a stable geopolitical environment, and we're far from that. Some folks view it concretely a reduction in defense spending, no economic destruction, and the like from not being at war. I think that could be argued as well. Others view it in terms of sentiment. Less geopolitical volatility creates more certainty, and the sentiment moves markets in a positive direction. In either case, the peace dividend, if it hasn't fully ended, is clearly at the end of the road. There we go. As billionaire founder and CEO of Citadel, Ken Griffin said recently. Russia's invasion of Ukraine began in February 2022. The fighting and the massive payments from U.S. taxpayers to keep Ukraine on the battlefield continued last year. Violence and turmoil accelerated with a terrorist massacre in Israel by Hamas, backed by Iran, that led to an official war declaration by Israel. This has renewed tensions not only in the Middle East, but also throughout the United States and Europe, as terrorist sympathizers have emboldened to foster chaos across major global cities. With the United States projecting weakness and a lack of leadership, remember, the Biden administration loosened sanctions on Iran and gave it access to frozen money to the tune of tens of billions of dollars, not to mention America's overall weakened financial position. There are heightened concerns over the possibility for conflicts in other areas as well. China may see an opportunity to seize Taiwan, for example, and North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un said recently he has no intention of avoiding war with South Korea. Of course, we expect other issues to come about and some old ones to rear their ugly heads, so buckle up and ensure you're fully funded in a personal or emergency fund, at least 12 months living expenses. I mean, that's going to be kind of tough for everybody with, but having considered portfolio hedges, use your voice and take action where possible because it's a critical time for our country and your prosperity. There's a lot there.
That's a lot to unpack, man.
My next article, this hit me pretty hard today when I was hearing about it. I shouldn't say hard, like it didn't upset me or nothing like that. But remember the old adage, when you point your finger at somebody, you got 4 pointing back at you?
Yep.
Okay. It says pundit. This is again from The Blaze. Pundits harshly shred NBC News report of syndicate scheming military coup if Trump is reelected. Quiet part out loud. Okay, quote. Recent NBC News article outlines a potential strategy of limiting the military powers of Donald Trump if he were to get reelected. So they're wargaming if he gets reelected. What is he going to do? Okay. Now I'm going to try to get through the article, and we'll talk about it from there. NBC News claimed that that Trump is sparking fears among those who understand the inner workings of the Pentagon that he would convert the nonpartisan U.S. military into a muscular arm of his political agenda, as he makes comments about dictatorship and devalues the checks and balances that underpin the nation's 2-century-old democracy. I'm going to try to get through this without saying anything, Mark. The outlet theorized that if Trump is elected president in November, he could weaponize the military to intervene in elections or quash domestic protests. However, there's reportedly a syndicate that has a mission of limiting Trump's power if he becomes president. The mainstream media outlet alleged a circle of appointees independent of Trump's political operations steered him away from ideas that would have pushed the limits of presidential power in his last term. According to the books they've written and testimony given to Congress, the report alleged that this go round, Trump would surround himself with loyalists who are in unwavering support of the former president. NBC News alleged that Trump has raised fresh questions about his intentions if he regains the power by putting forward a legal theory that a president would be free to do nearly anything with impunity, including assassinate political rivals, so long as Congress can muster the votes to impeach him and throw him out. So long as Congress can muster or can't muster the votes to impeach him and throw him out of office. The popular mainstream news outlet proclaimed, now bracing for Trump's potential return, a loose-knit network of public interest groups and lawmakers is quietly devising plans to try to foil any efforts to expand presidential power, which could include pressuring the military to cater to his political needs. Okay, I'm still trying to keep my mouth shut.
Same. I've got some questions, though, I got to ask.
The members of the alleged cabal said they are prepared to engage in a legal war by sending letters to Trump appointees, threatening them with consequences if they undermine constitutional norms.
Can I start asking questions?
No.
Okay.
We are already starting to put together a team to think that the most damaging types of things that mum's the word here. Yep. We're already starting to put together a team to think the most damaging types of things that Trump, might do, so that we're ready to bring lawsuits if we have to, said Mary McCord, Executive Director of Institutional for Constitutional Advocacy and Protection at Georgetown Law. I just lost my place. Oh, yeah. The group plans to create a coalition to challenge Trump from day one. This is getting hard. The consortium includes the anti-authoritarian group Protect Democracy and Democracy Forward, a left-leaning organization that took the Trump administration to court over 100 times. We are preparing for litigation and preparing to use every tool in the toolbox that our democracy provides. Sylvia's laughing. That our democracy provides to provide the American people an ability to fight back. We believe this is an existential moment for the American democracy, and it's incumbent on everybody to do their part, says Sky Perryman, president of Democracy Forward. Man, they say that word a lot, don't they? The idea of attempting to take the military away from Trump was lampooned on X social media platform. Columnist Tammy Bruce, this is called a coup and openly discussed by the very same people who lecture you that Trump is danger to democracy. Every day they panic even more, exposing themselves for what they are. And they wonder why the American people have had enough. Thank you. Never forget this tweet for the rest of your life. This is an admitted plan in advance for the military to no longer observe the military chain of command. This is all tweets. This is military-run government. This is planned to end civilian-run government. Communications Director George Price, quote, openly admitting that they are planning a military coup if Americans re-elect Donald Trump, all to protect democracy, of course. Whenever Democrats accuse Trump of doing something, it's a guarantee that Democrats are planning to do the very thing against Trump. All right, I'll stop reading those because I got a lot to say. What's your questions, Mark?
All right. Number one, who was it who weaponized the FBI and the Department of Justice?
Thank you.
Who has been getting rid of all of our competent people in the U.S. military and putting their own incompetent people in charge? Well, basically, who has been doing everything that they're accusing Trump of for the last up 10 years?
Thank you. I've been saying that all day since I heard about this.
Yes.
The
It's
only
like-
thing, the only thing they have not done is assassinate somebody
that we know of.
that we know of. But they're
'Cause
political
it can be
rivals.
argued that several people got Arkancided.
I agree. But on the face, no political rival that I've heard of, unless something's happened in the last 3 or 4 weeks that I've been checked out. Nobody that I know of has been assassinated, a political rival. They're trying to put Trump in jail. They're trying to pull him off the ballot to save democracy. We are not a democracy.
We're a
That's what
republic.
pisses me off. We're a constitutional republic. People get that word democracy out of your head.
We have not, nor have we ever been, any kind of democracy.
Ben Franklin, quote, "We're a republic if we can keep it." They're trying to undermine the republic. The only time the democratic process comes into play is when we vote. And now that's questionable.
Right. They're trying to corrupt the process.
So people,
And then they're accusing the other side of doing it. It's
Yes.
just, it's SOP for this group.
absolutely. They're
This is why
laying
we
out the
need
game plan.
a convention of the states, man.
I
I'm gonna say it
totally
again.
agree.
Convention of the states, get all these losers out of office, start over.
Yeah.
Start over.
Yep. Get them out. All of them. I don't
If
care.
you haven't told your lawmaker that you're for a convention of the states, I challenge you to get on the phone, get on the email, get on the letter writing campaigns, and
Yep.
let them know.
Let them know. Absolutely.
We're getting
That's the most-
closer and closer.
let's
If we
see
can
where
get
we're
it.
at. See, I've emailed our state congressman, and they're for it.
Oh, yeah.
They're absolutely for it. But we have some holdouts that are Republican that are afraid. Yes, they did. They began bombing today in Middle East. That was actually yesterday that I heard. Due to, I think, the Houthis, the Iranian-backed Houthis, I mean, they're firing weapons at us.
Yeah, of course we would shoot back. That's what you're
I mean,
supposed to do.
I
if
agree
somebody
with
shoots
that.
at you.
But I mean, I think we're going to turn this war for us is going to turn hot soon.
Oh, yeah.
Much as I don't want it, but let's see how many states I've already. I don't want to sign up. I'm already signed up.
Same here.
Okay, we've got. There's active. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 states that have passed. I think we had to have 30, if I'm correct.
I think so.
There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that have passed in one chamber. Then here, I'll share this real quick so people can see.
So if those ones that have passed in one chamber can pass, we're only a few states away.
Ah, what the crap? Hold on, wrong screen.
Pardon us while we have technical difficulties
Not technical difficulties.
right here.
All right, the green is past their Commission of the States resolutions. It failed in our chamber last year. It failed because of the holdouts. They're afraid that it's going to something bad would happen. No, during Convention of the States, you spell out what you want to vote for. It's not an open forum.
No, it's known in advance, and we know what's on the agenda.
Right. The blue is active legislation in this year. Okay. And the yellow, it's already passed in one chamber. So, I mean, it's getting closer. Every year it gets closer and closer. It's time. There's a lot that needs to happen.
It absolutely, and if they keep going down this road, it's going to happen. And that's when we're going to see a military coup, because they absolutely do not want the people, you and me, to
take back their
actually
power.
have a say. They have been stealing our power from us for decades.
Yep.
And they don't want us to have it back. But if we have, number one, term limits, and number two, a policy of fiscal responsibility, they lose all their power and they lose all of their money laundering.
Yep.
And we get our freedom back.
Yep. They don't want to see it.
No.
There's too many. We've turned into a corporatocracy, or whatever you pronounce that. I mean, all of our representatives, quote unquote, have been bought and paid for.
Yeah, it's an oligarchy.
There's a few seemingly good ones
There
that
are
are fighting
few.
for the American people. I will say that. I'm not going to say all of them, but the large majority of them need to go away.
90% of them, yeah. And
Not
of
only
those,
that-
most of those need to be in jail.
Yeah, I agree. But on that note, there is a push that's coming out now with Davos. Davos is happening now, and if you're not familiar with Davos, it's a World Economic Forum. Their agenda this year is trust. So basically, they're going to try to control the media. They're going to try to control the internet to where if you disagree with them, your voice disappears. It's all part of this agenda, guys. Get in on it. Stand against it. We didn't elect anybody that's trying to run all this crap.
No, they're all bankers and lawyers
Right.
following
Super
their
rich.
own agenda. They have nothing of good intentions. It's all to make them more money and more power.
Yeah.
On your back.
Yeah, they're trying to turn us into serfs.
Yeah.
Essentially, we are already. But
wage slaves, yeah.
The good thing is they have moved so fast that it's woken a lot of people up.
There's people on both sides of the aisle now going, hey.
They've overplayed their hand. And people are waking up and they're pushing back. And that's a great thing. Look around the world. Look at the farmers in Germany.
Yes.
Look at the truckers in Canada over the last several years. I mean, this is going on around the world. Protest, all this stuff is going on right now as we speak.
Nobody is happy with this.
It's not just us. It's around the world. As we've been talking about this whole World Economic Forum thing for a long time now. If you're not familiar with it, look up Agenda 2030, World Economic Forum. Read between the lines of what they're saying on this website. They've got it all churched up to make it sound great and wonderful. But remember, you'll own nothing and you'll like it. We're already being conditioned for it.
Yeah. We are. How many movies and books do you own online that could disappear at the drop of a hat? Or get
we talked
edited?
about it last week.
Yeah. Or get edited because they decided they didn't like what it said.
Right. It went against their narrative. Where do you think this DEI is coming from? This diversity, equity, and inclusion. Where do you think the central bank digital currencies are coming from? All in the name of protecting us. Right.
Yep. But it's actually all about money and power.
Right. Something that was explained to me here, it's been, I don't know, a few months ago. Banks want us to use the cards. I'm guilty of it. I use it all the time.
Me too.
Most people I know use their card.
It's convenient.
Right. But think about this. When you use your card, the company, wherever you use your card, is charged a fee to run a process, to process that transaction. Whereas if you use cash money, the bank's not making an extra whatever.
Yeah.
So the more you use your card, the more money the banks, the dollar, they make more money off of $1 off your card than they do off of $1 spent. And the more times that dollar changes hands, that electronic dollar, the more money the banks make. Maybe I don't know if I explained it good enough, but
Right. The person
your
you're
dollar,
hurting by using your card is the place you're spending your money at because they had to pay a fee for that.
right? But like the big like Walmart and all that, that cash or that transaction is rotated back to you in prices. They're not paying it, you are. So it's causing you to
More
spend more
inflation.
money, right? My wife said the World Economic Forum. Well, my mouse died on me. Said the World Economic Forum has already talked about being a catastrophic event that could happen in the next 2 years. That is the warning,
They've already decided what that event is going to be,
right?
and it's already in the works. It's a false flag event on monumental scale.
Yep. Think about this, guys. Top down, bottom up. The top down is going to push pressure on you to cause the bottom to rise up. Okay. They need something so catastrophic to happen for the people to cry out, for them to come save them.
Come save me.
When that happens, they have total control. Again, I don't know what the event is.
They do.
That's why I feel this show is important.
The more
Because
people know, the harder it is for them to push their agenda.
we are passing this information out, and we'll probably get shut down eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
But get your preps in order. We'll come back. It's probably again here the near future. Kind of go back to the basics again for newer people into the preparedness world. And I say preparedness because prepper is such a negative connotation now, because it's been vilified. But preparedness, it's on the FEMA website.
Yeah.
If you want a link, follow it on our Facebook group.
Yeah. And FEMA's got it right. I mean, there are things that you need to do. And I have no idea why they haven't taken it down. I guess there's somebody with some balls in FEMA. They won't take it down. But they have a very good, comprehensive list of things you need to survive 3 days on your own.
Yep. 3 days. 3 days is what you got.
Fill that list. And then fill it some more.
Start with 3. 3 days, move to a week.
A week, move to 3 weeks.
3 weeks. A month, 3 months. Work in threes. 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. It's not hard to do. Sure, there's easy ways to do it. You can go to My Patriot Supply, which by chance, we're affiliated with. Use our link. That helps the show. That helps you.
But there's other places.
Yep.
Don't
there's cheaper places.
Just pick one. Use them all.
Yep. Research it. Yeah. So get your preps in order. That's what this show's about. This is more about preparedness, or this is about keeping you informed as best we can.
And mental preparedness. That's the big one.
That's the most important. I don't know. I agree. Mental preparedness is extremely important. But recently I've had a lot on my mind, my heart. Spiritual preparedness right now,
Absolutely,
in my opinion, is probably the most important area you need to be prepared in.
I am not prepared to argue against that.
Spiritual preparedness, because I see it more and more. The more I look into things, the more I see what's going on in the world. I really, really believe we're the epitome of a battle of good and evil. Spiritual preparedness is extremely important, everybody. Mental, it's the trifecta: physical, mental, spiritual. Find something bigger than yourself. I'm on my own walk, and I think it's leading me in directions I may not want to go. But spiritually prepare, mentally prepare, understand, and that's why we're here. We want to try to cover that trifecta. Physical preparedness is the easiest.
Yeah, anybody can do it. It is not hard at all.
No, pay attention to the world around you. Keep your head on a swivel, especially this year being election year. Pay attention, especially with all of these millions of illegals coming across the border
Yeah,
that
there
aren't
is a
just out of
there's
Central and
people who
South
want
America.
them to vote.
Look at the terrorist groups. The FBI came out and said Hamas is here in the United States. Prepare, pay attention, prepare for a terroristic act.
Well, you saw about that one demonstration in Washington. One of the speechgoers was telling people it was time to normalize terror and all that ilk. No,
Right.
no.
Carrie, something. My buddy Troy, we did an episode on it with him years ago, early on, with what was the name of that? It's Byrna now.
Ballista
Byrna
packs.
Shield. Ballista packs they sold to Byrna. Byrna has a lot of self-defense items that are non-lethal.
There's
Plus
actually
the
several
packs.
companies putting out something very similar to the Ballista pack.
Yep. But yeah, Ballista packs is no more. It's Byrna. I need to call him. We need to get him on. But yeah, there's so many options now. My wife, she just supposed to learn how to grow and preserve food.
Absolutely.
Now's the time to plan. She has been planning our garden for next year. It's time to start planning. Time to get ready to start seeds inside. I mean, it's going to be here soon.
As soon as the ice and snow stops.
Yep. So I think we'll leave it there. I look forward to this year. Pay attention. Like I said, keep your head on a swivel. Pay attention to what's going on in the world. Not just your little corner of it. Yes, that's the most important. Focus on your community. Work on building your community. To me, that's the only way you're going to get through anything is your community.
Yeah, I have the
You can't do
feeling
it
it's going to be a rough year.
I do too. I absolutely do.
And I hope that everybody is everybody's paying attention.
Yep. If this is something that you want, information that you want people to hear, please send them our way. Whether the lives, the audio,
Even email.
Email us. whatiftomorrowpc@gmail.com. If they have questions, concerns, remarks, send them our way.
Yep.
We definitely want to help. That's what we're here for. I mean, we can talk about this stuff every day, face to face, if we wanted to.
Absolutely.
But this information that we're bringing to you guys, I feel, is important. My wife, share, and this time I'll say it. Check us out, the Night Acres on YouTube. We haven't had any videos posted up lately, but we're getting ready to gear back up and get some stuff done. That's showing you what we're doing out here, and it goes hand in hand with the podcast, because we're trying to live what we talk about. Open your eyes. Good luck to all. We'll need it. Yes, sir. Yes, we will, Ken. But yeah, any questions, comments, concerns, email us, reach out to us, direct messages on Facebook. On Facebook, we've been getting a lot of spam and a lot of inappropriate messages, so I had to lock down the group for posts and all that. If you're a member of the group and we can verify that, I'll open it up to where you can post. But I had to lock it down because there's a lot of inappropriate. My wife has gotten rid of some. I know Chris has. A lot of very inappropriate stuff popping up. So we had to lock it down to where we can't just let anybody comment or post. Unfortunately,
Well, and there's been a lot of internet Facebook scams lately. Everybody who's got a business or is a creator has been getting messages so-called from Facebook that they're shutting down your account, wanting you to click on the link so that they can steal your information.
Yeah. Thanks, Ken. Have a good night, man. Thanks for hanging out with us.
So please be careful. Internet security is just as important as physical security these days.
Absolutely, it is.
I don't really have much else tonight.
I don't either. Chris, yeah, that's great. I do appreciate that. I appreciate you and Andrea looking out for us and keeping on. I'm not hardly on Facebook. You too, Pam. Have a good night. Chris said she had to allow a few of our regular posters tonight to be able to post to this podcast. Yeah, I'm good with that. It's just people we don't know. I just with the stuff that has come across our group here lately. Another guy we know, he texted me the other night. He's like, "Hey man, there's some stuff getting posted on your Facebook group that nobody else has caught." I mean, it's been continuous.
Yeah, there's been some vile stuff put up there.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us, Sylvian. Thanks for, man, all the way from France, man. That's awesome. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, I don't have anything else, guys. Like I said, check us out, support us. This is going to be a tough year. Share all you can. If you feel this information is important, share the audio, share the video. We just got a breaking news. What's up? Donald Trump wins Iowa caucuses, huh? Who could have saw that coming? Well, folks, thanks again for the first episode of the year. Hope to see more. I'm going to try to get some more guests on. Get some guests on this year. I really want to focus on that. Thank you, Alicia, for hanging out with us. Thanks, Jess. You too. Well, let's see.
Next week on the Fringe, we'll have a special guest, Christy Campbell.
She is awesome. She is a psychic medium, psychic healer. Some really cool stuff I've seen her do with myself, with my son, even out here when we had our get together right before the Paracon last year. Was pretty awesome. We'll share all that. We'll talk to it. So yeah, I'm excited to have her on because she is just an awesome person. She's got a great energy about her. She's just so fun to talk to.
She's probably the sweetest person I've ever met.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. She is. She's a sweetheart. Everybody's saying, yeah, everybody that knows her that's in the comments, man, she's awesome. She's great. But yeah, she's an amazing person. But anyway, folks, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you for hanging out in the chat, everybody. And we'll catch you next episode.
Good night.